They told us to give a disclaimer. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the podcasters, any guests, and do not reflect any of the management, owners, sponsorships, or employees of thereof. Pretty much, if you're soft, don't listen to this podcast.
One thing I pride myself on is just being the same and trying to look out for my folks along the way.
Like, even with all these, big things happening, like, you still mad humble, and you still, like, you have enough clout now where you could easily be like, I'm not fucking with this, I'm not fucking with that.
Oh yeah, motherfuckers, it's on.
Unrestricted Podcast listeners, thank you so much for clicking play. Because of you, those numbers are going up, up, and up. And as you know, we got the Patreon. So if you want to be a part of the Patreon gang, the real supporters, the one that helped me keep the lights on in the studio, the ones that helped me upgrade equipment, you can go on to patreon.com/DreRocka, DRERAWKA. But hey, if you're part of the crew that just wants to help support, it's free to show love. You can like, share, comment, subscribe. It's free to show love. Now, today I got a very special guest across from me, somebody that I have been promoting his fight coming up August 16th at the Maverik Center, FFC 42. The former Utah FFC AMI heavyweight champion, veteran.
Yes, sir.
My man, Mark the Kung Fu Panda Gonzalez is in the building. Did I say that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, former
there's different variations that I've heard, but that was probably the cleanest that I've heard.
Okay.
So I like it.
All right, cool. Former AMI heavyweight champion. You're a heavyweight fighter here in Utah. Veteran. I just found out you're a father. Mm-hmm. By the way, a lot of love for fathers. That's like my number one thing about people that sit across from me. If we hold a common balance, is that we're fathers, and that's something that I love. So salute to a good father. They didn't want to come up though. I felt a little disrespected that they said they didn't want to come up here.
I felt disrespected because I'm like, hey, come upstairs, come hang out. I'm good. This is all I got. I'm like, okay. No love, I guess.
And there's two guys talking about fighting. I get it. I get why they would want to stay in the truck.
Yeah. But hey, they, wifey's got the keys. She's in the AC. She's comfortable. Yeah. So that's all that really matters.
I got to fix the AC in my wife's Pathfinder. It's been out for the last 2 summers, and I'm like, damn. But it's something always comes up. I don't know if your life is like that, but as soon as I want to do something, it's like, damn, I got to put money in this other thing.
Yep. Or once you get something fixed, something else breaks. And it's like, all right.
That was my transmission in my Impala.
Mm-hmm.
Paid it off. No lie. A month later, my transmission goes out. Like, jeez.
That's nuts.
And I'm not a mechanic, so I wish I was now. I wish I would have took auto tech more serious in high school.
I tried. When I joined the Army, I ended up being a helicopter mechanic. So, I'm mechanically inclined, I guess, as far as my knowledge goes. However, if your car breaks down, we're screwed. It ain't going nowhere. I could put rockets on it, make it fly. I can't make it drive down the street. It's sitting there. So
that's funny.
Like, we both had the luck on that one.
Yeah. Are you the Tim Allen in your family? You try to boost everything up?
No, I've seen way too many videos, and anything that could go wrong, I'm not trying to put that on my conscience. Yeah. I don't want to blow, my house up trying to do something stupid simple, and it's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'll leave it to professionals.
So you recently turned professional in your fighting career, but you've been fighting for a while. I think you took your first AMI fight in 2020, right?
Yep, January 2020. So
you're a complex guy, right? You said you were in the Army. Let's start off with, are you from Utah?
No, I'm from San Diego, Padres baby. My dad was in the Marine Corps, and I was born and raised in San Diego, place called Oceanside, and military life just bounced between there and Arizona. Just wherever the Marine Corps sent my dad. Pretty much finished out my childhood in Oceanside, California, and decided to join the Army from there.
When you're bouncing around, when you're traveling, your dad's traveling for work and whatnot, are you guys staying on base?
Yeah. At that time we were. So we went from Camp Pendleton, California, to Yuma, Arizona, and we went from one Marine Corps base to to the other Marine Corps base, and then he ended up getting orders going back to California. So we just easy transition, you know.
How hard is that as a kid? And are you like adolescent kid? Are you like teenager?
So when we moved from Cali to Arizona, I was in the 2nd grade, and this was in 92, maybe 1993. Pretty much spent all the way up to my freshman year of high school in Arizona, and then we got orders to go back to California. So I think I was still in football as a freshman in Arizona when we ended up moving. So coming to Cali, I didn't really go right into football, but wrestling picked up, and it was just, as a kid, it was an easy transition for me, you know, as far as trying to stay busy, because I knew what I was, you know, I've wrestled since the 6th grade, so I knew as far as what's next, what's coming up. The making friends part is the hardest part, though, you know. So going from, you know, 2nd grade to freshman year, I had, you know, X number of friends. Now I got to start all over, you know. So luckily I had sports there to kind of help, you know, ease that transition, because, you know, the first friends I made were teammates. So, you know.
What position did you play for football?
So I was a D-line, baby, you know, championships wins, or defense wins championships, excuse me. Yeah, I was D-line, you know. We played a 4-3 defense, so I was interior, you know, played the tackle. I've tried, you know, I've tried some DN business, but, you know, my love is for them tackles, for that interior. So, yeah, no, I played a little bit of offense when needed, but I don't know. I don't like blocking for somebody. I like making tackles. I like being the star on defense.
Yeah. Most of the time I talk to guys that played football, they're like, I wanted the ball. You were like, no, I just wanted to crack heads.
Yeah, well, I was too dang big to have the ball, so I was like, you know what? Hey, you know, I'm going to take it from you now. So,
was there any dreams of going to the league or college level with football, or just having fun?
Nope. So I was a wrestler. 100%. That was my thing.
What did you get that love for wrestling?
I have no idea. No kidding. I think 'cause my brother wrestled, and he's, you know, 6-7 years older than me.
You didn't watch pro wrestling or anything like that growing up?
I did, but, you know, I knew early on that all that stuff was
Don't say the word.
choreographed.
Okay.
Choreographed. Yeah. No, you can't fake blood. That stuff's real. You know, how it gets there is choreographed.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah, no, I grew up watching The Rock. I'm old enough. I grew up watching Undertaker and Dink and Doink and, you know, Sergeant Slaughter and, you know, just like the early WWF days, right? But for me, wrestling, I excel better when it is only me rather than like a team event. And I hold myself more accountable with, you know, an individual sport like wrestling, because, hey, if mistakes were made, I can't blame nobody but myself, you know, and that's what's helped me excel at, you know, at my craft is, all right, next time I need to focus on this or pay attention to this, or, you know, let's not be lazy, you know. Whereas, you know, team sport, football, you know, I play volleyball. You could do the best you could, and y'all still come up short because of various different factors, you know, some that are out of your control. And for me, it was, you know, yeah, I love the team, you know, aspect of the sports, but for me, I've always been just focused on, hey, do the best I can and try to control the outcome to the best of my ability. And that's why I picked wrestling as far as my love.
Were you a sophomore when you went into wrestling? So
I started wrestling in the 6th grade.
6th grade. That's right.
So I was in junior high school. First couple matches was okay. Ended up breaking my foot. kid just bear hugged me, bull rushed forward, and I went back and my foot didn't. So I, ended up breaking my foot. Spent, some time in a cast. Came back the following year, just a powerhouse. I was like, you know what? We're going to do better. Learn from that mistake as far as, hey, let's not move, defensively like we did previously because, hey, injuries can happen. So, did that freshman year. Like I said, we ended up moving from AZ to California, and the transition was just, it was fairly smooth. I think we were still in the middle of football season by the time we got to California. And, I just was like, well, can't do football because it's already started. Let's focus on wrestling. And I had a pretty illustrious career throughout my 4 years of high school.
What was the difference in culture and wrestling culture between Arizona and California? Was Arizona known for wrestling?
So for me, because I wrestled in junior high, I didn't really get too much of the exposure to the wrestling culture. So my freshman year, I showed up to a high school called Kofa High School in Yuma, Arizona. For those that are very huge Cain Velasquez fans, they know Cain Velasquez is from Yuma, Arizona. He was a senior when I was a freshman at the same time. So his brother actually was one of my football coaches. So that high school culture of that wrestling culture, didn't get to experience it, but from what I was told, by various people that had been exposed to that culture, for lack of a better word, it was pretty big at that time. Unfortunately, I didn't get to experience it. But I moved on over to California where it was big as far as not Iowa big, but it's California. How many high schools are in California? Mm-hmm. There's a lot, big enough to where, there were scary monsters, at any different, given high school at any time, so I just focus one match at a time.
When you said you excelled in California, how did you excel?
So I want to say my freshman year, freshman, sophomore year, I just absorbed knowledge, did my wrestling, just pretty much just tried to find out what kind of wrestler I was. I want to say I went, now keep in mind, this is 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
I want to say my sophomore year, I want to say I had a winning record as far as, I was over 50%. Can't recall that far back. But my junior year, I battled for the varsity spot with our varsity heavyweight who was a senior. And this dude was just massive, big dude, and it was like neck and neck between us because he was a senior. He got the spot though, until the end of the season when, for some reason, we didn't see him or whatnot. So now I got called up. Hey, you're on varsity. You have a stellar record, and in California they have. I don't know how Utah does it for their wrestling programs, but California, we have something called CIF. Now, pretty much you have like your regionals, your sectionals, then you go state or whatnot. So I got called up to wrestle, and, I think I went 2-2 for my very first time at CIF, going against all these seniors, and I'm a junior with, a pretty decent record, but no experience. And that's when I kind of learned right away that, like, hey, having this varsity level experience is, what's going to make or break me as far as my next year. So going into my senior year, I was a force to be reckoned with. I had tournaments where I was placed in second place in, all of, San Diego County or all of Southern California. And we ended up, at the end of the year, go to CIF again. And for our region, I took second place. Once you place, I want to say it's the top 4 places in that CIF like region, you move on to something called Masters. Masters is like, it broadens the range of, all the schools that are in that area. You place in the top 3, now you go to state. And I was doing phenomenal at Masters until I got injured. And, I ended up injuring my leg mid-match or whatnot. And I still finished out the wrestling match, and I lost by points. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much the end of it right there for me for wrestling, because, I could barely even walk.
Dang.
So that, I don't like making excuses, but for me, I can at least hang my hat and say, you know what, I'm proud of the career I had, because I think I maybe lost, I don't know, maybe under 5 to 10 matches that whole year, between all our meets and then the tournaments that we've had, and it was a lot,
I had Joe Haro on, and he was telling me he had a tournament where he fought it was 16 or something like that, like 10 to something guys in one day.
Yeah.
It's like, holy smokes.
Yeah, those smaller guys, man, there's a million of them out there. For us heavyweights, the one thing that I tell people about my time in wrestling is it's no different than right now. Yeah, we're slow, but we just need to keep our strength, and we need to be able to keep our stamina. So that's the one thing I did struggle with a little bit in high school. Growing up with asthma, it was like, it hurt. My lungs were on fire after every single match. And some tournaments, I'm sitting there in between matches, just trying to huff my inhaler so I could breathe better. And there were times where it wasn't matter. It didn't matter whatsoever. I was almost down for the count. So there was times I had to kind of figure out how to conserve energy or, not overexert myself so I didn't pass out in the middle of a match.
What did your family think about you choosing to wrestle? Because I'm looking at you, as a father, I put on my father cap, and it's like, I got a son that really struggles with breathing, and here he goes exerting himself with breathing. I'd be a little concerned.
Yeah. So because my brother wrestled before me, I want to say as far as my parents go, it was just, hey, we got another wrestler, in the family. Because my brother and I, we've always played the same sports. He played football, and then he wrestled. So I played football, and then I wrestled. So it was pretty much like, just fulfilling that legacy, or that trend, for lack of a better word.
They already got a son doing it. We're not worried about the other one.
What threw them off was me wanting to play volleyball, though. So, because your boy's 270 pounds back then, still 270 pounds now, volleyball is not a big person sport. You go, especially where we're from, San Diego, you go down to the beaches and you got all these, 150-pound cats,
abs,
baby oil, just
No Diddy.
no Diddy. But yeah, you got, beach volleyball and all this and that. So for me, I focused on wrestling. What can I do for wrestling in my off season? Well, football will get me in shape right before wrestling. And then volleyball will keep me occupied so I don't sit there and just binge eat or just get lazy. And then, I want to say volleyball for us was a spring sport. So after that, school's out. Now we got football, summer camp coming. So I used as many different opportunities to stay in shape for wrestling through various sports. So I even tried my bit in baseball. I'm a lefty. I was like, oh, yeah, let's try some pitching out. Your boy can't pitch.
You got that 50-cent pitch?
I can get it there. I just can't get it there in the same spot every single time.
Gotcha.
I will say that, I got great power. I can throw the ball like nothing, but if you want accuracy, I'm not your guy.
So you said that your family, there's a lineage of military, right?
Yeah.
And you followed in the lineage of your family. Were you Army, the Marine Corps, your whole time that you served?
So my biological father was in the Marine Corps. My stepdad, who's raised me since I was 6 months old, was in the Marine Corps. My brother dropped out of college to join the Air Force. And my uncle on my mom's side, he was in the Marine Corps. Marine Corps didn't want me. When I got out of high school, it was 2004 when I got out of high school. 2005 when I started when I met my wife and we started our family. I tried to live the civilian life. Wasn't happening. About 2007, 2008 rolls around, and I'm like, you know what? I'm joining the military. Run over to the Marine Corps recruiter's office. They didn't want me. I was too big. I was, at that time, I think I was about 350 pounds. So,
do you realize what the military does? You're that big, and what?
Yeah.
Why'd you think they would take you?
Well, I knew that. So after talking with a few of my friends and my dad, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to get, to that finish line. So I walked into the Marine Corps recruiter's office, I wanted to, number one, just get information, just, hey, what do I need to be at? What do I need to do? Never even had the conversation. As soon as I walked in, 3 steps in the door, I see the Marine Corps recruiter just kind of chuckle under his breath. And he's like, you too big, dog. And I'm like, all right, flip them the bird. And I was like, I'm out. As soon as I left that door, there was an Army recruiter outside smoking a cigarette. And he looks at me. He was like, they laughed about your weight, didn't they? And I was like, yeah. He was like, I could work with you, bro. So I was like, I don't know. I'll be back. Went and talked to the Navy recruiter, They were like, yeah, we could work with your weight, but we want to throw you in a submarine type business. And I'm like, I'm 6 foot, dog. I'm not fitting in a submarine. I know. I got Navy buddies. They say you got to be at least, somewhere in the middle 5s as far as your height. Otherwise, it's going to be very uncomfortable for you. So I was like, nah, that's not happening. And I was like, you know what? Something's got to happen. So I went right back next door to the Army recruiter. And I was like, hey, man, what can we do? And everybody, that's been around the military or has experienced recruiters have always had bad stories as far as, recruiters will say and do anything to get you to join. Mine was straight up. Mine was the realest dude that dude cared about his job. Mm-hmm. And, he was one of those guys that, like, I swear he wake up in the morning, like, I'm going to make a difference today kind of mentality. Because he was like, dog, you fat. Mm-hmm. He was like, but we could work with that. And he helped me lose 100 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. I got from about 350, 360 to about 270, 265. And that was just healthy enough to get me to boot camp. And then they were going to do the rest. So
How does that work with, because you're not a paid employee, and I'm assuming he's not getting paid to help train you to lose this weight.
Nope.
I guess his payoff is getting the recruit, right?
Yep.
So what does that mean to you? Like, have you really like took a second to be like, damn, this dude took his time to really help me?
Every day, every single day. When I was in boot camp, he'd write letters, you know, at the time, before I even signed papers or anything and shipped out, you know, he invited me to his home to come train with him and his wife. And his wife, maybe 150 pounds, full on pregnant, bro. Like 7 months, 8 months pregnant, doing laps around me while we're at the track running, because, you know, they're both athletes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what excuse do I got? I got this pregnant chick outrunning me on this field. I got to push it that much harder, you know? And we did that for a while, man. Like, yeah, he definitely played the long game on that one, you know, got no reward up front, but me joining was, you know, I guess a reward enough for him.
What does that look like when you do like hit the threshold to able to be accepted into the Army? What does that day look like? Is it you going back to the recruiter, him already seeing your progress, being like, oh, you made goal, now you need to sign this dotted line? Like, how does that look?
So I vaguely remember, but I know that I had dropped enough weight to where, you know, because everything has to go through MEPS, which is Military Entrance Processing Station. That's where, you know, you do your physicals, you do your ASVAB test. They, you know, throw you on the scale, see how big you are and whatnot. So we had more or less like an unofficial goal, like, hey, you need to be this much, you know, before we start signing papers and we start sending you off. And when we got close to that range and we hit it, he was like, all right, are you ready? Like, is this something like you still want to pursue? And I'm like, dog, I just spent this last few months with you losing all this weight. I'm all in, man, you know? And it was like, it was a very surreal feeling at first, like almost like, oh, something's going to happen and nothing's going to pan through, you know, or they're going to, you know, find an excuse for me to not join or whatnot. And it wasn't even the case. Like, I was so exhausted from all the training that I had done that I was just excited just to be at MEPS, you know, getting checked out by the doctors and whatnot. And, you know, we had to do like a duck walk as part of like our physical test in nothing but underwear. And you got, you know, 15, 20 dudes in tighty whities in one line, duck walking from one end to the other. And it's, you know, you don't care about nothing else other than, you know, this is weird as shit. Like, why are we duck walking, you know? But hey, if they want it, you know, whatever. So it was very long and just exhausting day of evaluations and just, you know, but the part that really got to me that I remember every single day was at the very end when we got to swear in. We put our, you know, right hand up and we took our oath of enlistment. And that was like I was not really an emotional person up to that point. Actually, let me rephrase that. I've never been an emotional person until that point. That right there, because now I'm, you know, I'm in the books with my dad. Both my dads, my stepdad and my biological, with my brother, my uncle, and everyone that came before them. So for me, I've never wanted to do anything but be in the military since I was 5 years old, and I was one step closer as soon as I took that oath of enlistment.
Are you sick of podcasts that just interview people with the same questions and gossiping nonsense?
Are you tired of hearing about what's wrong with the world? Can you locate your nearest orphanage?
Who cooked the Last Supper?
R.I.P. Mr. Potato Head.
Seppuku Harakiri.
Where is Mavis Beacon?
This is Horse.
And this is host Beefy,
Listen to the Beans and Rice podcast.
exclusively in Braille and all streaming platforms.
Patent pending.
If you're a sports athlete looking for a mouthguard to protect your pearly whites, look no further than All Sports Mouthguards.
All Sports Mouthguards, located in West Jordan, Utah. Come visit us, 1385 West, 9000 South in West Jordan, Utah. We offer high quality, made in the USA, custom molded and custom designed mouthguards.
It's Looney got the tunes. Here to remind you that my newest single, Bendecidos, is out now on all streaming platforms. I got an all-star lineup with me, some of Salt Lake City's hottest names on one track. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to the Macon Show, and you know what to do. Turn me up. Let's go.
It's a fraternity, right? It's a brotherhood. It's something that I will never experience. There's something that you guys get to experience that only a small percentage get to, you know? And I think that's really cool that you guys take the time to do that. There's guys and gals that didn't make it out. You know, there's guys and girls that didn't even make it to the point of being, sworn in because they give up.
Yeah.
You know, I can only imagine. I see videos of what they call Hell Week and things like that from all branches of the military. And it's just like, man, what you guys do and what you have been through is just like, sheesh, man, not a lot of people can do it.
I will say, man. So I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for boot camp. And when you get there, you do your in-processing. You know, you just get all your affairs in order before you actually ship off, not ship off, but they bus you to your barracks, and that's when you really start reevaluating your life. Back then, and I know the culture's changed over the past couple of years. I don't know how much they do it now, but back then we had something called the shark attack. So they had us in, finished our in-processing whatnot. We grabbed our duffel bags, we grabbed all our gear, and they filed us in this huge room, and we're all in just single, just rows. There's like 15 different rows all lined up, just one right up against the other. And you're sitting down and you're just waiting for your drill sergeants to come and receive you. And I use that word receive in quotations because it's not receive. These guys are coming to get you, and they are very loud with it. It is at the point where they, before they show up, it's like, oh man, this is awesome. I wonder how it's gonna be and this and that. As soon as them doors open, you're like, what the hell did I just sign up for? Because it's nothing but loud yelling, screaming. There's bags and hats being tossed because someone's not doing something correctly. And it's literally chaos. And you got all these drill sergeants, just at least 15 of them going around, and they are more or less sharks. And it is a shark attack. Even if you're doing the right thing, you're doing it wrong. And they will make it known, and they will let everybody know that you're doing it wrong.
I would be so confused. I'm like, motherfucker, you told me to do it this way. Now you tell me.
I got yelled at by one drill sergeant. I forgot what I forgot to pick up or grab. So he's yelling at me, and then another one out of nowhere just comes in, and he starts yelling at me. And, for those that are in the military or have been around it, they know what the position of attention is. For those that don't, the position of attention is straight up, standing, eyes forward, no movement. When you get somebody coming from the side and they start yelling at you, your natural reaction is to look at them. Now you're disrespecting the drill sergeant in front of you, and then his buddy from the side will come over and let you know you screwed up for looking at him, and then you'll look at him, and it's just, and the whole time you're supposed to be looking straight forward, addressing the one in front of you. But if you don't acknowledge the ones on the left or the right, you're disrespecting them. But if you do acknowledge them, you're at the position of attention. You should not be. It, like I said,
There's no win.
There's no win. It's a lose-lose situation, and it really Like, to me, like, I didn't bust into tears or nothing, but it really had me like, yo, what did I sign up for, man? Like, do I really want to do this? Whereas, my buddy next to me is just full on tears. He is a broken man, and they feed off of it. The drill sergeants feed off of it, and it is the scariest, most exciting experience I've ever been in, and I'd miss it. I'm not gonna lie.
You do miss it?
Oh, I miss every bit of it.
Was there a point where, and you mentioned that you're like not crying, but you're questioning yourself. Was that the first and only time you questioned joining the Army?
No.
Or there was more points where you almost broke.
Almost broke. Gas chamber was one of them.
Which is pepper? Is that pepper spray?
No. So it is CS gas. So they file you into this big just open bay room, and everyone's got their gas masks on. The drill sergeants will have you guys line up, horseshoe or just circle around the walls. Everybody is just on the outside, and in the center, they have this CS gas canister or whatnot that, and I don't really know, like what they do, because the whole time I'm freaking out, because when you walk in, it's like your skin's tingling, almost like you got fiberglass, just like irritating your skin, right? So, you're in uniform, you got your gas mask on, you guys are filing in, you know what's coming, but you don't know to the extent. So your mind starts running, and anyway, they get everybody facing inward, and, they set off they activate the CS gas, and they fill the whole room with gas. And the whole time you got your gas mask on, and drill sergeants are sitting there, and they're like, all right, well, right now, this is going to suck. But I want you to remove your gas mask on the count of 3. And as soon as you remove it, I want you to stow away your gas mask in your pouch, and then recite the Soldier's Creed, or, I know the Marine Corps does, they have Rifleman's Creed or whatever creed, they do. But for us, it was the Soldier's Creed. And as soon as we took our gas mask off, your first instinct is to breathe in. And as soon as you breathe in, that's when hell breaks freaking loose. And it's like it feels like fiberglass going down your throat, and everything just from every hole, orifice, whatever, just starts draining. And you can't see, you can't breathe, you're coughing, but you have to finish the creed. And you're not allowed to put your gas mask on until everyone finishes the creed. And it was the worst thing ever. Like, I tried to take a deep breath in with my gas mask before I removed it. That didn't help at all, because you can't start saying the creed until everyone puts their mask away. Oh. So you get those, those dumbasses that are just like fumbling around, like, what am I, I can't put it in, and you're trying to hold your breath, and it's like, nah, bro, no. One of my buddies, I think it was my second bunkmate that I had, he thought they said, hey, if you breathe it in, this can kill you. So, damn. Yeah, so he breathed it in and started freaking out and ran out the door. And the drill sergeants looked and were like, oh, no, Private, let's go. You're coming back. And they dragged him right back in. And he was like, I'm not trying to die. So we're sitting there trying not to laugh because he's freaking out, but that's not working. So we're all laughing, all coughing. And, the whole time I'm just like, dude, I really hope this is like the end of it, because I can't keep going, it's because I'm exhausted from all the training, and just mentally I'm broken down, which is the goal of boot camp, is to break you down. So, I like to know that, hey, my mental toughness was, enough to be able just to endure that physical and mental pain. You know, and we got video somewhere out there, because once you leave the gas chamber, you have to flap your arms and walk in a circle. You have to, just shake off all that gas, right? You got dudes coming out, just snot and just everything all over their face. And you're like, if you're never been through it, you're looking, you're like, man, I'm so glad I'm not that dude. But having gone through it, I'm like, man, I wish I could do that again. Like, that was some of the best times in boot camp, in the moment, not at all. That shit sucked. But after the fact, it's like, yeah, I'd do it again.
Was when 9/11 happened, you're just going into high school, or?
I was sophomore.
Sophomore in high school. Year. Did your pops, did he get deployed to Afghanistan? What was life like during 9/11?
So because we lived on base, the base got locked down the day of course. Every single person that lived around us had that mentality, like, yeah, we're going to war, dude. Like, somebody's gonna pay. My old man, he was towards the end of his career. He 2001. He retired in 2005. So he was about 4 or 5 years from retiring. So he didn't deploy to Afghanistan or Iraq at that time. He had done a lot of his deployments, like he was in Desert Storm, because he joined in 85. Yeah, he joined the Marine Corps in 85, so he was already towards the end of his Marine Corps career. He was a gunny. And he had a lot of like back issues. Like, he was walking around with a cane. So, stuff like that, kind of prevents you from being able to deploy. But yeah, he didn't go, and surprisingly, neither did my brother. The time he was in the Air Force, that I know of, because I know he done some time in Japan. He was on the East Coast, but that was really all I kind of knew about. I didn't ask him too much about his Air Force. That you or me? Yep, that's you. But yeah, no, I think I was the only one to deploy post 9/11.
And before you got deployed, did you travel much? Did they have you go into different countries?
While I was in the Army, prior to deployment? No. So I enlisted in 2009, got done with my boot camp and my MOS school, I want to say by like May of 2010. Spent a year in Fort Hood, Texas. Just everybody was just coming back from Iraq. My unit that I was attached to, I got to while they were still in Iraq for like another 30 days, and then they started filtering in, coming home. So the way our unit deployed is we did our deployment, spend a year at home, and then deploy again, spend a year at home, and just so on and so forth. So I had just got there when they were starting to come back. So I spent a year at home before we got the call, hey, you're deploying again. And I was really hoping to go to Iraq. My dad went to Iraq, during Desert Storm, and for me, I've always wanted to just kind of follow in the footsteps of my family that have gone before me. But the military had other plans. They sent me to Afghanistan, and I spent 12 months in the mountains of Afghanistan, and that was.
Are you a helicopter mechanic at this point too?
Yeah. So
your whole career?
My whole career.
Okay.
So, yeah, I spent 12 months in Mazar-e-Sharif, Afghanistan, which is like way up north, and
is that cold?
It gets cold. Yeah, it definitely gets cold. It's it's kind of it's a little mixture of like mountainous and desert. But it's up near I think it's the Hindu Kush Mountains, the mountain range up that way. So, but yeah, no, it was the longest 12 months I had ever experienced up to that point. So, did my time out there, you know, came home. Let's see, I was gone from June of 2011 to June of 2012. Came home, deployed again, and let me rephrase that because I know there's a lot of my military buddies out there. So I went to Kuwait. Kuwait's not deployment. That's a rotation, you know. And for those that don't understand what I'm referring to is you have your deployments where you go to Iraq, go to Afghanistan, and you're in the suck. You know, things are popping off around you. You're, you know, whatever. You know, you go to Kuwait, and Kuwait's kind of like, it's kind of like being at home but far away. You know, you're not in any really imminent danger. You're on a base, you know. Anything can happen in the Middle East, don't get me wrong. But more or less it's just, hey, we're going to be out in the middle of the desert, you know, 9 months, 12 months, and then we just come home. And so my second, you know, deployment was to the Middle East was Kuwait, and we were there just, you know, as quick reaction force in case something popped off in a neighboring country, you know, and you know the president is like, hey, we need somebody there now. Who's the closest unit we got? We were that unit, so nothing really happened. So we were just like, you know, just chilling.
Can you say the name of your unit and like that stuff? Is that something that you can say?
So I can. So at that time, my first two deployments, I was with the 1st Cavalry Division. That was based out of Fort Hood. But yeah, no, I was with the 1st ACB, which is the Air Cavalry Brigade. So, and the way the military, you know, has their structure, you know, you got your division, you got so many brigades under them, and then it just branches out more and more into, you know, 5-6 different battalions, and each battalion has like 5-6 different companies, and yeah. If you're not, you know, well versed on any of it, it's like, bro, you lost me at like the third step in.
Oh, it's a different language for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why I ask is because for me, one of my top 5 videos on YouTube is the Stolen Valor videos.
Oh man,
when military guys see these guys with stolen valors in like Starbucks trying to get a free drink, and then they call him out for it. And he's like, dude, the patch on your arm, you weren't even born to get that patch. Yeah. So what is your thoughts on like guys and gals that do that? As far as like the stolen valor.
So for me, I don't like I don't know how to really word it. I don't like making a big deal out of something that's not really directly, you know, affecting me to that extent. With that being said, I don't agree with, hey, you know, like, I don't like it when people misrepresent or, you know, claim to be something that they're, you know, they were never a part of, or, you know, it's like you mentioned earlier, you know, it's a brotherhood, it's a fraternity, you know. For me, if you've never worn, you know, and I'm going to use Army terminology because Marine Corps doesn't necessarily have patches like we do. If you've never worn the patch, take it off, because now you're disrespecting me and, you know, and my brothers and sisters that have fought and, you know, died wearing that patch. But like, as far as the videos go, like I find them entertaining, you know, but I don't get all up in like, oh man, what the heck, you know, I don't get mad. I'm just like, wow, bro, Like that dude really did that, you know, and then I just go about my day. If I were to encounter someone in such manner, maybe it's just me, but, you know, I'm not going to be all up like the dudes you see in the videos. I'm, you know, for instance, and I'll give an example, you know, I recently, you know, engaged in conversation with somebody that has a tattoo of the 101st Airborne, you know, on their arm. And, you know, I know this person. I know this person's not military. So I inquired, hey, you know, because for me, you know, I've been deployed 3 times. My 3rd deployment, I was with the 101st Airborne Division based out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So I have worn the patch. I have earned my patch. I have been to Afghanistan, you know, and done various things wearing that patch. So I just inquired, hey, you know, that's, you know, we call for those that don't know, the 101st Airborne, their patch is a Screaming Eagle. And then it has, you know, Screaming Eagle inside of a shield, and then it has a banner across that says Airborne. You know, if you've watched Band of Brothers, it's the same patch they're all wearing. So when I saw it, I was like, hey, that's a nice tattoo you got there of Old Abe. That's the name of the bird, of our patch. And this person looks at me, I was like, you know, what's the story with the tattoo? Well, you know, it's a family member that served in the 101st, passed away and whatnot. And I was like, oh, so you never, okay, you know, and I'm sitting there just kind of, I already knew. But I was like, look, I'm going to put it to you like this. There's certain things that you do and certain things you don't do. And that is something you don't do because it is a fraternity. It is a brotherhood. Some of us have worn that patch. Some have bled. Some have died wearing that patch. I was like, and you're doing a real disservice to those of us that have, you know, earned the right to have that patch, you know, by having that. And I was like, but I get your intention. You know, it wasn't any kind of stolen valor or anything, but hey, guess what? You didn't earn it. You know, your uncle earned it. You know, so I was like, I'm not going to give you crap because I'm not that kind of person, but I just want you to just let it be known, hey, there may be people out there that are going to see that and they're going to question. I'm just, you know, fair warning, don't be surprised if you have engagements like that, you know. And I've just kept it very, you know, just casual and just informative to this person because at the end of the day, they haven't, as a person, lost my respect because they're a good person.
Yeah.
They just, you know.
Their intentions were good.
Just, yeah, you know.
But
and as a civilian, you may not know. And that's, you know, that's why I encourage everybody, hey, if you're going to do something like that, ask somebody, hey, is this a smart idea? 9 times out of 10 will tell you don't do it because of that reasoning, you know. But
I could talk to you about military all day. We haven't even talked about fighting yet. We're almost an hour in. But I do want to know, I mean, during this time you are a father in your military career. How was that? Was that tough being a pops and also like having a career where you're gone?
Say that question again.
Was it tough being a father but also having a military career at the same time?
Oh, 100%. I missed the entire first year of my daughter. My daughter was born in March of 2011, and I'm already getting ready to deploy May of that same year. So I was with her maybe 2.5 months, and then I'm gone. And I didn't see her again until she was already past a year. So didn't see her walk, you know, her first steps. You know, back then we used Skype, and those that remember Skype remember how unreliable sometimes Skype was with good connection. Now I'm in Afghanistan with, you know, substandard connection. So it was like, you know.
How was that mentally? Because I'm assuming like having a job like what you do. For me, it's kind of like I equate it, and maybe this is the wrong equation, but I equate it to friends that I know that have done time behind bars, where even my own brother, he was like, I didn't want to talk to you because it made it harder for me to do the time that I had to do. Is there any likeness to that for what you went through? Or were you kind of like, nah, I could balance both?
So I tried to talk to my wife as much as I could, and got to a point where like you're just staring at each other because it's like, all right, what do we talk about? Because we just talked, 5 days ago or whatnot. So there was a point where I was like, hey, let's make it like a week or two before we contact each other. That way we have stuff to talk about, and we have that opportunity to miss each other, and that seemed at the time for me, I can't speak for my wife, to be the right balance of, hey, if I could spend an hour once every 2 weeks just, talking to the kids and talking to the wife and, whatnot, that gives me the opportunity to just kind of reset mentally, focus on the mission for the next couple weeks, and then, just balance it out that way. I don't know if that was easy for her or not, because obviously I'm not home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that would be a tough gig, like being the father that I am. I do a gig at night, like I DJ, so it's like when I'm gone between 9 p.m. to sometimes 3 a.m. the next morning, it's like even then I'm like stressing out about my kids, making sure they're good and stuff. So obviously you've had a good military career. At what point do you come home? And at this time, is home California? Is that where wifey is? Is that where your kids are?
No, so and we're referring to like coming home from deployment, right?
Yeah, when your last deployment from the military.
So we were in Tennessee. So Fort Campbell is half the base is in Tennessee, the other half is in Kentucky. It straddles the border. So everyone says Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Others say Tennessee, but it is what it is. I come home and, my third deployment, by that time, I'm burnt out, mentally, physically. And I'm just like, all right, now I just need to focus on the family, just the transition really is hard for some. Others, it's easier to just pick up. For me, it was what it was, I'm not in Afghanistan anymore, but I'm still like super like my anxiety is still way up there. Just, going from, combat zone to non-combat zone is like, all right, that transition takes time. So
what year is this?
2015 to 2016.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you're in Tennessee. At what point do you end up? What's your transition from Tennessee? Is it straight to Utah or?
No. So I ended up getting retired from the Army a little earlier than I had wanted. The Army said I was done, but it is what it is.
Is that your choice or is that their choice?
We'll say mutual, but
okay.
Yeah. But it was, it was enough to where it was like, hey, you've done and seen enough, so we're gonna retire you, and for those that know, they know, so it is what it is as far as that, but coming out of the military, doing my transitioning, I went to a job fair because that's required to. You're required to do a job fair before you transition out, and it's part of their easy transition from military to civilian life. I met with General Motors. General Motors was like, hey, we got a place up in Michigan. Our proving grounds is where we test out all the stuff that's pre-production stuff that the public doesn't even know about. Why don't you come work for us? I was like, I've never thought about Michigan, so I went up there, spent the weekend up there. And I was like, say less, bro. I was working on a lot of diesel trucks. I worked on the mid-engine Corvette before that was even announced to the public, which was pretty cool. But, you know, it's a Corvette. I'm a big dude. I don't fit.
Yeah.
I barely fit in it, you know. So it was a fun but very, very tight workspace. So I did that for about a year and a half, and then they did mass layoffs. I think they let off 15,000 people in a day.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I was like, what do we do now? Sister-in-law lived out here in Utah, and I'm like, yeah, let's go to Utah. Let's see what that's about, you know? So came out here, you know, found a job working with the Air Force, and the rest is history. I was just like, you know.
And what year do you land in Utah?
2019, January. We got here. We were on the road moving from Michigan here on New Year's Day. Like New Year's Eve going into New Year's Day. We didn't get here until like that night of New Year's Day.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was, you know, very symbolic for me. You know, new chapter, new year. You know, let's start off the year strong. And not even 2 weeks later, I landed myself at One Hit MMA.
No pukesters helping me to the left, and no pukesters helping me to the right. Didn't need them then, don't need them now. You are the ex-champion, Olin.
Now this is the way, Tony and David, that you do the figure 4 leg lock.
You love wrestling.
Do you believe that Stone Cold Steve Austin is the greatest entertainer of all time?
Or maybe that Shawn Michaels is the sexiest man alive.
Or did you have a thing for Sonny from the years of 1994 to 1996 like I did?
Did you know Yokozuna isn't even Japanese?
If you could count the number of dimples on Rikishi's ass, this podcast is for you.
Follow us, the Figure 4 Podcast on Instagram, at Figure4 Podcast. And check us out on YouTube.
Do it.
Tell your punk ass friends about us.
Yeah.
What landed you at One Hit? And is One Hit, has it always been where you last time I seen you?
Yeah.
So it's always been in that area. So what?
Since I've been there, yes.
Okay. So what? Because it's kind of hidden. Like if you don't know what you're looking for, you'll miss One Hit. So at what point does One Hit hit your radar?
My brother-in-law. So my brother-in-law and we married sisters. So we came and moved in with them, and he was, you know, training, fighting out of that gym. And he was like, bro, you know, the transition from military to civilian life definitely added pounds to me. So I was back up to 360. I didn't care. I was like, I'm out. I'm eating anything and everything.
Are you not in touch with the recruiter no more?
No.
Recruiter would have kicked your ass.
No, yeah. Like, what did you do? But yeah, he was like, hey man, you're he's like, you're fat and you need to lose weight. So I started at One Hit, just trying to lose weight, get back into shape, you know. And
are you aware of mixed martial arts at this time? Are you a fan of like the UFC? Do you know about this stuff at this time?
Oh yeah. So the military, the Army teaches you enough jiu-jitsu to hurt yourself. So knew a little bit about jiu-jitsu. While I was in, a buddy of mine got me into Muay Thai, traditional Muay Thai, because he did a lot of training and whatnot with those cats. And, you know, he just introduced me to the world of Muay Thai, and I fell in love with it. But it wasn't something that I fell in love with enough to pursue while I was still in. Soon as I get to One Hit, you know, I came in with the mentality that I don't know anything, which was great because it just, you know, I've never been a very arrogant person to the point where it's like, oh yeah, I know this, and because it always backfires. So I came in very humble, you know, and it's just like, teach me what y'all know. And yeah, like I said, this was 2 weeks into, you know, living out here in Utah, and they welcomed me in, you know, and were like as a family member, you know. So like a lot of these big gyms and whatnot, you're a number, you're a dollar sign. Now One Hit, you know. But yeah, no, I came in knowing about martial arts. I came in, having watched UFC from UFC 1, in the 90s all the way up to, that present time. And so I knew that mixed martial arts was out there. I just didn't give it any thought as far as fighting.
So 2019 is when you stepped into One Hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you stepped into Utah, and you take your first fight the next year. I think it might have been within the year of you being in Utah, right? Because 2020, I think it was like March.
So my first fight was January 4th of 2020. So
almost a year.
Yeah.
Just about a year and a month from when you landed, because you landed in Utah on New Year's. Right?
So it would have been a year and 2 days between the day I landed here in Utah and when I took my fight. It would have been just about 2 weeks shy of a year from the moment I stepped into the gym to when I took my first fight.
So did you shred about 100 pounds to get your first fight?
No, it was a super heavyweight fight. I lost weight. I think I weighed in at like 320 and some change. So I did lose some, I lost, 30, 40 pounds. I quit smoking and I quit dipping 6 months before my fight. Cold turkey, hardest thing I'd ever tried. But I was successful. Didn't matter. I got my ass beat bad my first fight. I was not ready. I was not ready to fight. And for me, the best thing that could have happened to me and my MMA career was COVID, because everything we all remember got put on pause.
Mm-hmm.
So I focused on myself during that entire time, on losing the weight, being a better striker, reintroducing myself into wrestling, because it's been since 2004 since I've wrestled. I spent about a year and a half, because I didn't take another fight. My second fight was September of 2021. And yeah, I think I weighed in at 280.
On your second fight?
On my second fight.
Okay.
It was still a super heavyweight fight, but it was funny because I ended up getting with a nutritionist, Jason Laporte.
Shout out to Laporte.
Huge shout out. Dude, that dude I owe everything to. That dude hooked me up with, not a meal plan, but a concept, a way of, of just like thinking when it comes to nutrition, because I thought, hey, just don't eat a lot and you're going to lose weight. Well, yeah, to an extent, but you're going to gain it right back. And he helped me out, and I credit like 90% of my MMA nutrition success to him, because he really helped me out on, he took a chance on me in the beginning, just, hey, do this. Let me know if you got any issues or questions. And I haven't hit him up for questions in a long time, because I, more or less have gotten it down. But it's those tools, it's what's that saying? If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. That man taught me things. And I'm eternally grateful to Jason. So shout out, Jason.
Yeah, Laporte, man. So you have a 4-year amateur career. I think you took your first professional fight in Idaho.
Mm-hmm. This past March.
Yeah, that was in 2025. So yeah, you have about a little over 4 years of an amateur career. Accolades. You had the heavyweight title for Fierce Fighting Championship. You successfully defend that title. And then at what point do you talk to Aldo about going pro? What was the threshold of? I think it was 10 fights and one kickboxing match, right? So
I had two kickboxing. Two kickboxing. Austin Bowden, my first kickboxing, and then Marcus Hackford for my second. Not including those two, because I went 1-1. Not including those two, I was 7-2 as an amateur in total. But so the pro talk had been floating around for a little bit. I'm older. I'm 39 now.
Damn.
Yeah. You know, my window's pretty small as far as, you know, my fighting time. You know, Zach tells me that, you know, take the time I have and make the most out of it because it's very small. I was supposed to go pro after my Fierce debut because I previously had fought, you know, for another promotion. Majority of my career was, you know, over at Steel Fist. And
did you ever hold a belt over there?
I fought twice, and my only 2 losses were title fights. So, funny thing, my first fight was a title fight. I'm a super heavyweight. There's like 4 of us that exist at the time. The dude I was supposed to fight got hurt. Another dude that wanted to fight, I guess, got accepted for football scholarship for some university. Hey, go do you, homie. That's more important than just fighting.
Yeah.
The other dude was like, yeah, I'll fight him. Turned out that dude was the champ. So I got my butt kicked. You know, hey, welcome to MMA. 2023 in the summer, I fought for another title. Went all 5 rounds. It was pretty evenly matched. Like, on paper, on video, it was like, all right, it's as even as it gets. He ended up winning. So my third title shot, you know, comes in it was August of last year. And it was for Fierce, you know, and I've been trying to stay as active as possible throughout the year. And the first opportunity to fight, you know, in the time frame that I was looking for happened to be with Fierce. So I made the jump over and I told my coach, I want to go pro after this. I'm not getting any younger. And he was like, all right, well, let's see how this fight goes. 1 fight at a time. Threw 1 punch, laid the dude out. It was over in 34 seconds. I was not happy. Don't get me wrong. Anytime you lay somebody out, yeah, that's great. You won the title. That's cool.
No, let's be honest though, Mark. Like, you're talking about the second or third biggest venue in the state. This is Maverik Center. This is your debut. This is a big moment. The dude that you're fighting, Lawrence Sua. He doesn't look like a pushover, right? He's a scary looking guy, you know. To anybody common guy that just in the audience, right? We're looking at this, it's like, oh my gosh, like these 2 guys are gonna go at it. And then you go out there and you fill each other out for a moment, you find your distance and you just throw, I think it was an overhand right. Or might have been a right hook.
Check, left hook.
Left hook. Okay, yep. That's what it was. And it was quick. And it was a quick round over. You're not happy with it, but as an audience member, we're like, holy smokes, this guy just knocked him out clean.
Yeah. Like, I can't tell you how many, like, he fought my homeboy, Big Fiji, earlier that year, and I studied because it went all 5 rounds. He finished Fiji off in, like, the last 20 seconds of the 5th round. You know, finished him with, I think it was a body shot, dropped him. All right, cool. So I watched and I studied, you know, I was prepared for war. And up to that point, you know, I've been tested in a previous title fight, but not like this. And I trained as hard as I could for weeks and weeks. I think I had like a 13-week fight camp. No, because I just fought in June, July, August. So 8 or 9 weeks fight camp. And it was just, for it to go like that, I'm like I'm happy, don't get me wrong, but I didn't get the dog fight that I was looking for. Like, if it was a dog fight, I didn't care if I won or lost. You know, it was a dog fight, and that's what I was looking for, because that's what I'm expecting to see as a pros. Like, I'm making that jump up to higher caliber fighters. you know. So after that fight, I told my coach, I was like, I got to defend my belt, you know. And I told Zach, I was like, dude, I don't care who it is. I want a dogfight. I want someone that's going to challenge me and push me to my limits. You know, because, you know, finding the, you know, the right fight can be challenging for a matchmaker, you know, because some fighters, they want to fight they know they can win. I want to fight that I know that no one knows who's going to win. And, you know, it could go either way. And then we found Igor Lakicevic out of, I think he was out of Virginia. And
what was that first one? This is your first walk at the Masonic Temple.
Yeah.
Different venue. You went from the big arena.
Yep.
Now we're at a more intimate, really cool venue. What was that walk like?
It was different. It reminded me a little bit of the Union Event Center as far as how, you know, small the venue is, how intimate it is between you and the crowd. It definitely was, walking out of at the Maverik Center was nuts. You know, you felt like you're in the big leagues, you know, but the energy I felt got lost from the crowd into that big of a venue. The Masonic Temple did not disappoint. That energy was contained so much you could hear everything, you know, from, you know, from the, you know, the crowd up in the very top back of the Masonic Temple to, you know, your coaches right there. You can hear it all because of how just contained that venue is, and the energy, you know, dudes getting knocked out or, you know, a good scrap in the middle of the fight. You feel it, and I fed off of it, you know. That walk was definitely, it was that crowd pop was just boom, like, dang, okay, you know, it's game time, you know. But yeah, I enjoyed the Masonic Temple. That, you know, I joke that because that building's so old, like, you walk in and it smells old, you know, and it's like so much like history, you know. But you know, dude, huge props to Zach and those guys for finding that place, you know, because I love that place.
It's a beautiful home. Like, as the DJ and as a fan, it's like, there's not a bad seat in that house, you know. And I assume, just talking to the fighters, they seemed really happy with it. Even like loading up the production level on it too with 4FX, with Marcus Wing and his team, having the big screen. You haven't experienced that just yet, but it's like that's something that I often look at the guys now. It's like it just keeps getting better and better, you know. It's like you get more opportunities. The walk that you're about to go and do on August 16th at the Maverik Center, fiercefightingchampionship.com, go get your tickets. The walk that you're about to experience at the Maverik Center is not going to be the same walk that you did when you defended or when you won your AMI title. The production level is elevated. You know, the hope and the dream is that obviously we've been building this show up. The crowd, the energy that you talk about at the Masonic Temple, hopefully that transfers August 16th, which is why we need you there. So August 16th, go get your tickets.
Yeah, and, you know, this is going to be my third walk at a venue that large because, you know, my pro debut was at the Mountain America Center.
Another great venue.
Yeah, which is like, you know, and I tell people that I work with, it's like the, you know, the little kid version of the Maverik Center. It's still huge, but not as, I don't think it's as big as far as capacity wise.
No, it's not. It's weird. It's like it's built for hockey.
Right.
So it's kind of spread out.
But nonetheless, it's still a big venue.
Oh, yeah.
It's bigger than, you know, than the Masonic Temple. So making that walk, it was like, okay, this is not my first time, you know, it's not my first rodeo. Let's get it. This next fight, who knows, you know? Normally I get butterflies and like nerves, you know, and I was talking to my teammate and good friend, Mason Moyes. I was like, dude, when I fought Lawrence Hua, I was stone cold. There was not a single jitteriness in me or nothing. I was just like, I'm here. All right, cool. You know, the Maverik Center, same deal. I was like, all right, it's another day at the office. So I'm really excited to see how my body reacts to, you know, coming home this time as a pro and putting on a show for everybody, you know, to see. So
what was the feeling with Igor? Because you mentioned when you won the AMI title and then when you just had your last fight, but what about that Igor fight?
We don't talk about that one because I got into my own head on that, and I started freaking out. I was like, you know, for me, I had watched some film on him, and I knew he was a wrestler. You know, he was a Division III wrestler, and I was like, what are we gonna do when we get two wrestlers in that fierce cage? How is that gonna look? You know, and you know, it's just one of those, so many different variables started popping in my head, and it was like I started getting into my own head and psyching myself out. And I had to just kind of sit back and, you know, I listened to, you know, Joe Rodriguez, one of my training partners, and he, you know, he gave me some sound advice. Hey, just relax, just fight your fight, dude. Don't worry about all this and all that, you know, because I'm sitting there and I'm worried about defending my belt. I'm worried about, you know, all this, all that. And it was just like, nah, bro, you're good, you know. So we had a game plan. You know, I more or less shut down his wrestling. You know, he took me down a few times, but, you know, at the end of the day, everything that I had planned, you know, came to fruition, you know, throughout the fight. And it wasn't until I just finally just accepted and just let everything go mentally that I was like, all right, now I can kind of just focus on, you know, the task at hand.
That was something that, as a spectator, that I don't know if the word is crucial or critical of, is, do we want wrestling from our heavyweight fights? You kind of even mentioned it, right? You want a dog fight. Do you feel like you've had a dog fight?
That Igor fight was one. That fight, that was, I talked to him afterwards. I even messaged him. We followed each other on Instagram. I was like, dude, your fight, like our fight was the one that, like, for me was one of my favorite fights because it brought the best out in both of us. So much that I was confident in going pro after that, you know. So my pro debut, you know, talking about wrestling, my pro debut was nothing but wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, and
it felt like you pushed the wrestling in your last fight with Mendenhall versus with Igor, you were more defensive wrestling. So was it kind of like, yo, I can wrestle, like I know how to do this again? Was that kind of the mentality going into Mendenhall, your last fight?
So it's all, I just exploited, you know, their weaknesses or what wasn't shown. With Igor, my striking, I noticed he was biting on all of my feints. I feinted. I threw, I don't even know how many calf kicks on that boy. I was told after the fact if I would have kept throwing calf kicks, there was a possibility he would have just tapped from that many calf kicks. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I kept the striking because he kept biting on it, and I was just like, all right, you know, if I don't let him near me, he can't wrestle, you know. And that boy was strong. I will say that dude was the strongest opponent I've ever faced.
With a name like Igor, you better be strong.
Right. So
it's a strong name.
Oh, yeah. But I kept the striking there. Mendenhall, he fought my buddy Mason and beat him. You know, and watching that film, I was like, I don't think this dude's good on the ground, you know. So for me, I was like, all right, well, let's see how it plays out. Dude comes in, rushing at me, and, you know, we kind of scuffle a little bit there up on the cage, and his legs are just sticking out. And I'm like, all right, I'm grabbing a leg, we're going for it. And I don't know. I wish there was like live stats for that fight, but I had 100% takedown accuracy on him, and my control time was nuts. But for me, that fight was making a statement like, hey, you beat my homeboy. So, now you got to pay, because Big Brother's here now. So, I made it a just real gritty fight for him. First time throwing elbows. Several of them landed, but I was just like, you know what? I would like to finish the fight, but I got to make a statement for this dude, nothing against him. It's a fight game, but, he beat my teammate and my best friend. So it's like, all right, now homeboy's got to pay for that.
You mentioned that even with the Sua fight, do you have to have a chip on your shoulder to get mean? Do you find that thing that bugs you to make you want to, I guess, win?
I just, like, every single opponent I've had, I've been friends with. Like, I can't get mean, so to speak. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we're going to be punching each other, and I'm not going to let you punch me unless I'm throwing something back, or I'm going to punch you before you punch me. But then afterwards, hey, man, hey, let's go get a drink together. Let's hang out, or whatever. My third fight, my amateur career, I switch kicked homeboy in the face, shattered his nose. Boom. I bought him a beer after the fight, though.
As you should.
I was like, hey, man, let's go. We talked for a minute, we drank a beer together, and he was like, all right, man, I got to go to the hospital. I was like, hey, go take care of your face, and then I followed up with him.
Yeah.
Like a few weeks later, hey, how's the nose? Like I have no ill will with any of my opponents, as long as there's no disrespect.
Yeah.
That start out, obviously. But it's just like, hey, it's a fighting game, So we need to go in there knowing, hey, we're choosing violence, and this is what's going to happen. And we can bullshit afterwards, As soon as those cage close, and I've heard it through the commentating many times, I don't touch hands. As soon as that cage closes, if the ref brings us to the middle, hey, touch gloves. That's the only time you're going to touch my glove. Other than that, I'm coming swinging, so be prepared.
Do you tell him that during weigh-ins? Like, yo, it's just to get I ain't touching your gloves.
Usually I do.
Okay, because it looked like Sewell was surprised. Maybe you didn't tell him?
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I
always thought about that. Like, if it's predetermined, it's hard in your mind. You're letting the public know now. Like, I ain't touching gloves before we get. Afterwards, we can dap it up, whatever. But before then, we're not touching gloves. I always wondered that if folks knew before.
Now, I know I didn't say it to Igor for sure. I don't remember what my mentality was at weigh-ins, but it was just like, how are we going to bring this East Coast kid to Utah, and him, talking like, oh, there's no way I'm leaving without this belt. Nah, homeboy, you're in my backyard, So mentally I was like, you know what? I'm going to smash this dude's face in, and then we can, maybe get some tacos afterwards and, just BS. But I didn't say really anything to him. And there was he tried to touch my glove when first round started. I was like, nah. And then he tried to do it in between rounds, between round 1 and 2. And I remember I looked at him. I just turned away. I just walked off. Like we're there to fight, man. Don't try to touch my glove. Don't try. The time for being friendly is gone. It'll come back after the fight. But right now we're fighting,
I think there's in your mind, exactly what you're doing. For a spectator, like somebody that's watching, they're like, damn, this dude's an asshole. This dude, like, where's the sportsmanship? Right. So is there some type of balance? How do you balance between doing what you do in the cage, worrying about winning and staying alive because anything could happen in that cage, right? And then also the entertainment, sportsmanship portion of what you guys do.
So for me,
does that side of things, does that even matter to you? Because you have great branding. The Panda, you're living the brand. I come from a pro wrestling background where you lived your gimmick. And with you got the Panda on your shirt. You got the Panda tatted on you. Your social media is the Panda. And so I'm curious on, like, if the side of the entertainment side of it matters to you.
So my biggest thing because of my brand, my biggest fan base is kids. My thought into everything is, as long as we're not disrespectful, like obnoxious. Like, I'm not going to sit there and flip somebody off or, be a Conor McGregor or anything like that, because, we don't need role models like that for the kids, But for me, we're in the middle of a fight. The time for joking and, being friendly is on the outside of those, 15 minutes or 25 minutes if it's a title fight. While we're in there, hey, we're in there to kill each other. It's the ref's job to stop it. So as long as I'm not blatantly, like my thought process is, as long as I'm not blatantly disrespectful, to a point where I could lose a fan base or whatnot, because I like to think I'm genuinely a good person. And I've been told by many parents that, hey, my kid loves you. And, it's because my kid loves you that I've become a fan. If I can, just keep things serious in the cage, but professional, hey, that's my end goal right there. It's just, just do what's right. As far as action wise, I'm not going to do something that's going to disrespect my gym, the promotion. I definitely don't want to piss off the Utah Athletic Commission. Mm-hmm. So, I just genuinely just try to keep things, hey, we're here for one reason and one reason only.
I love that, because you can't make everybody happy, right? There's no way you're gonna be able to make everybody happy. There's a parent out there that's gonna be like, he don't touch gloves, man, that's bad sportsmanship, and they're teaching their kid to always hit gloves, right? You're not gonna make everybody happy. One thing that I do love is that you are a representation outside the cage as well. You're a representation when you go to the gym. You're a representation not only of yourself but of our culture, being Utah MMA. Every time I cut this mic on, I know that I'm a representation of Utah MMA when I talk to you guys. So I think it's very important to represent the brand of the culture of Utah MMA in that way. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. I actually, so recently I just picked up football coaching. So I'm a defensive line coach for one of the WFFL teams out here, and the offensive coordinator, he works for the company that does my fight shorts. He actually, shout out to Aaron and Team Up Athletics.
Team Up, shout out.
They hooked me up with all my fight gear, all my merch, and he was like, "Hey, my football team needs a defensive line coach. You want to do it?" Yeah, sure, why not? First day showing up, he introduces me as Coach Panda, and all the kids are like, "Oh, hey, coach, whatnot." Well, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday. Nope, sorry, Thursday. I show up, and one of the kids walks up to me. He was like, "Hey, coach," he's like, "I just want to let you know you're one of my favorite coaches." And these are 8th graders that I'm dealing with. So I'm like hits me right in the chest. I was like, "I appreciate it, little man. Now go run some laps."
Yeah.
And,
that's dope.
Yeah, his comment, and I posted on social media the other day. I was like, that's why I love coaching. That's why I love doing what I do, because we're talking about representing, a brand, being a role model, stuff like that is, we don't need any more negative role models nowadays in today's society. And if I could do, even the smallest bit here in Utah, in Weber or Davis County, that's huge. That's huge for me, and that's, we got kids. We want them to have good role models. So why not, while I have the platform that I do, be a good role model?
Absolutely. Why don't you? And now I had the same question for Zeke being a vet. I think the vets that I know that are fighters, active fighters, I should say, is you, Zeke, and I think Lehigh. Why don't you guys lean into being a vet more in your branding? I feel like even then, I when I see vets supporting vets, no matter what it is that they do, right? I feel like it could be a huge opportunity for you guys to get more people off base and give them something to do outside of their normal day jobs.
So I know there's a million different organizations out there that, excuse me, that help us veterans out, right? Before I moved out here, I was with the VFW out in Michigan, and I used to do stuff with them. Coming out here, I'm always and will ever forever will be proud of my military career, what I've done for my country and whatnot. My second fight against Trent Lee was right after we had lost those Marines and soldiers out in Afghanistan during the withdrawal. So for my fight, I walked out with the United States Marine Corps flag and the Army flag together. And then I think I went my fourth fight. I had my fight shorts were my camouflage, the multi-cam camouflage that we wear. I had designed with a company of my fight shorts. I told them I wanted that camouflage pattern for my design. My brother-in-law was fighting on the same card as me, and he's a Marine. So I had his shorts made up with the Marine Corps digital desert pattern as well. So me and him fought with our respective branches, camouflage patterns for our colors. So we've done, represent as far as our military service has gone. I know I've saluted on my walkout when I faced Patrick McKinney because we fought on Veterans Day. But as far as the veteran community, I have reached out to Fierce. I've reached out to Steel Fist about, and this has been in the past, about donating tickets to Vet Tix, which is, for those that don't know, that are service members or veterans, it is an organization that companies will donate tickets to, and it's kind of like a lottery system, no actual money or anything. We get, just for being a member, we get free digital coins that we get to toss our coins into like this bucket and see if we could win some tickets to whatnot. And I know in the past, in the beginning, Fierce had tried that once or twice, and I know Steelfest has continuously done it since I brought it up to them, where they will donate, tickets for veterans to come out and watch the shows. So, as far as my part goes, I bring the horse to the water, and it's up to the horse whether they want to take advantage and drink. So I brought.
But but about you specifically, right? Like, I just feel like if I'm the fighter, right? Mm-hmm. I'm the fighter. I have the credentials of being a veteran. Mm-hmm. I would be going to any dealership. I would be going to all my sponsors. I feel like it's more, and this might sound bad, but it's all marketing, right? It's all like, you want to help support a vet in his upcoming fight. Mm. You know what I mean?
I see your question now.
Yeah. Okay. Like, I feel like there's more into, I don't put Mark Gonzalez and veteran in the same line. And I think that's because a lot of people don't know that Mark Gonzalez is a veteran.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of my question is like, and I don't see that with Zeke either. Mm-hmm. I don't see that with vets that I know that are active fighters saying, and there was I forget his name, but he was in WEC. Forget his name. A long time ago. That was his whole thing. I'm a vet. I'm a Marine. I'm a veteran. And it was like all of his sponsors was along the lines of people that support the military.
Okay, I see what your question is now. Honestly, to me, veterans make up a small percentage, right? So if I were to go, that route, like, the WEC fella does, I honestly wouldn't even know where to start as far as trying to expand beyond that, because, you got 10 people, maybe 2 are veterans, you're targeting, only 20% of the mass,
Yeah, but the percentage of people's families that support the military is way big.
Right, and that's where I haven't really given too much thought on how to expand.
Being a Utah red state, bro, Utah is a military state.
Oh yeah. I think it's just the knowledge of how to expand beyond that.
I think it's conversations. Like, have conversations with who's your current sponsors?
So right now my current sponsors is Legacy Roofing, Kid to Kid of Layton and Ogden, Natty Addy, Rockwell Watches. Oh, there's so many. There's a lot.
You got a lot of sponsors, right? And every single one of them fall under the brand of they would want. To have a heavyweight mixed martial artist that is also a vet to come speak at the next Rockwell, whatever, they got a tent at the vendor booth or whatever. Have you pop up there, doing a special collab for the veterans on Veterans Day, where it's like we got a special panda watch.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, these are things that I feel like branding wise would be really cool.
There was one gentleman that I spoke with recently. He owns a barbecue business up in Ogden, and he's also a veteran too. And now that you mention it, we did talk a little bit something recently. We haven't really kind of ironed out details, but it was like, hey, why not show up on our so like on the last Sunday of every month, they do like a brunch, veterans brunch. I showed up, I want to say it was in June, just to kind of meet people. And, I think it just kind of all boils down to like connections. Like, who do I talk to reach out to, all these veterans, or how do I, and I'm wondering if, like I mentioned, I wouldn't even know where to start. And that's why I haven't really looked too much into it. But I think it's all about who you know and how they can help you reach out to as many veterans as possible, with that branding. Like,
man, you got the barbecue spot, man. And the thing, what I always look at, and with marketing and with everything that we're talking about, like marketing, people are going to look at it negative, and they're going to see people that look at it positive, right?
Right.
You can say that you're exploiting, but for me, it's like, you got this barbecue spot, you got an upcoming fight. They do something on the last Sunday of every month. Leading up to your fight, why aren't we doing a ticket stop where it's like, for this time, we're gonna have Mark come down. He's gonna talk about his journey. We're gonna eat, and then you can also purchase tickets to help him on his fight, right?
Right.
We're just promoting this guy, and then at the same time, all these people are gonna follow you to check out this barbecue.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like 2 birds, 1 stone.
Right. And I'm pretty new at the whole promoting on that level.
Yeah.
So I know, like, just conversation right now we're having, mental note, hey, why not inquire about this? Or how about we start doing this? I've mentioned to the wife, maybe buy 2 tickets, and then this is coming out of my pocket, buy a couple tickets and, do like a raffle or something. I'm donating to, a veteran, hey, follow my page, tag 3 people, and just kind of do something to that extent, right? But in order to do stuff like that, you got to have the funds or have a sponsor,
That's what I'm saying.
Front some cash. So it's like,
a lot of these organizations, they're willing to give they get marketing budgets, right? Like I come from radio. I know a lot of these people, they set aside for quarter 1 through 4. They set aside a good amount of money, right? And why can't Mark Gonzalez be a portion of their quarterly budget?
Right.
You know what I mean? You fight tops 4 times a year, sometimes more, but you fight a good amount of time in the year. Bro, everything you talk about kids, man, there's so much that you can do with kids, right? Like, why aren't we doing meet? Like, you have an area at the Hogo Zoo. Yo, go meet the panda with the pandas. A night with pandas. You know what I mean? Where you're literally there showing who you are, explaining to people what you have done. You have an inspiring life, bro. Like, you have a motivating life, being a veteran, being a father, now pursuing your dreams of, achieving the heavyweight title. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot there to build off of. And this, we've been running along. We're almost at 2 hours, so we definitely got to wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get to like none of my questions that I wanted to ask you.
Speed round, man.
So I mean, you have at the end we talk about getting that title. So like at the end of the day, when all this is done, what is it that you want to do? What is it that your North Star with your career in mixed martial arts?
I got a few years left of fighting. When that's done, it's all about coaching. It's about bringing the next level of, fighters up. The kids that enjoy watching me fight, they're going to get older. They're going to want to do what I do. I want to be that coach that, has inspired them enough to show up to the gym, coach them, get them to be a fighter, get them to love MMA as much as I do.
Do you want to open your own gym, or would you want to see if Aldo, you take a coaching spot over there?
I've flirted with the idea. I've asked Aldo. I've asked Matt Wilkinson, Gustavo Rodriguez, my jiu-jitsu professor, what does it take to open a gym? I don't want that headache. So I'm like, you know what? Hey, I'm just okay with coaching or doing private lessons.
So I've heard you walk out to Carrie Underwood. I've heard you walk out to Kendrick Lamar.
Yep.
What is it that pinpoints, this is my walkout song?
Right now, it's all situational. I walked out to Carrie Underwood's the champion because I was the champ. I was defending. I found that, that song was very fitting. My fight with Lawrence Sua, I walked out to Carl Douglas's Kung Fu Fighting. It's pretty self-explanatory, I don't know why I walked out to Kendrick Lamar. That was the vibe,
You hit the stomp at the right point, though.
I
hit
did.
it right. He said mustard. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, my man topped that perfect.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wanted to come out to Not Like Us, but that song's been played so much, since, my Birds won the Super Bowl, Go Birds.
All right.
I had to. But no, that song's been played out way too much, and I'm like I want something that hits, and TV Off played on my Spotify, and I'm like just listening to it. I was like, okay. And as soon as he yelled out that mustard, I was like, that's the song that I want to walk out to. And I didn't even think about stomping until I got done getting greased up, and I'm like, that part of the song's coming up. So it's like, how do I waste a little bit of time to time it just right? So, I walked up the steps a little slow, took my knee, I prayed like I normally do, but I spent a little extra, just to time it just right. And when it was there, I took it and, got huge reception from the crowd for it.
Yeah, a little risky, though. What if you roll your ankle?
So I didn't think about that until after the fact.
Be careful.
Because I'm pretty sure, what's his name? Is it Chris Barnett, UFC fighter? I think he did something similar and hyperextended his knee doing that. And I thought after the fact, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be stomping again.
Is the Kung Fu Panda proud of himself?
100%.
Why?
I've made an impact for sure on kids. I have this one kid that comes to my gym that he comes and he runs up. I think he's 5 years old, and he yells, "Panda, panda, panda." He comes and gives me a hug. And like my I think it was my no, it was a few fights ago. I seen him at no, it was bare knuckle. Actually, I went to bare knuckle, watched my homeboy Ben Moa, and you know, the boss man Zach Partridge handle business.
Mm-hmm.
Your boy was looking fresh. I had the lineup done. I was looking very. What was the word people were saying? I was looking very Cuban that day. I had the chain going, the hamburger, me coming out, and I was looking fresh. And this, this kid that trains at my gym comes up and he's looking and he's like, "Are you Panda?" And like just this look on his face of just like joy. And he gave me a hug, and my wife's next to me, and the kid's parents are there, and I look at my wife, and like I could tell my wife is like, oh, that's so cute and whatnot. And I'm like, this is what I live for. Like, that's why I am who I am, So from a role model perspective, I'm very proud of who I am. I built a brand that I can honestly say has touched, not just one, but multiple kids, and and give them somebody to look up to. And as a fighter, my career speaks for itself.
Yeah. What's your biggest challenge professionally?
Putting down them tacos. Yeah.
Nutrition?
Oh, nutrition's 100%. Yeah. I think majority of my cheat meals when I'm in fight camp are usually tacos. Mm. So, yeah, that's the one thing that's, I struggle with the most is how many do I eat? How many is okay? So if I eat 3, will the 4th one really hurt? Or, so it's all in my head.
You're currently heavyweight, right?
Yep.
Do you ever want to take a fight at light heavyweight? Is that something that you would ever want to do?
If I could make it down that small, I think the height of my military career, as far as like my peak physical fitness, I was 227, almost 230. Mm-hmm. My body fat was low. I think I'm just built different. Mm-hmm. I'd have to, I don't know, get some medication type of help to lose that much weight. And I'm not about that life. I'd rather sit about 240, 250 and fight, comfortably at that weight. I am only 6 feet tall, so I'm a smaller heavyweight, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe one day I might put the tacos down and get down to 205.
Now, you said that you've been studying. You study your opponents. Have you already been studying Damian Gothard?
Yeah, I watched whatever film was out there and available, but I watched it enough to where it's like, all right, now it's time to focus on me. Mm. So we'll see. It's like what was it? Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
It's true.
So.
And at one hit, they get punched in the face a lot.
A lot.
I don't think going to your guys' gym was a unique experience because I've been to a lot of gyms and one hit is just like 0 to 100 as soon as you walk into that door.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's, we're built different there, man. Like it's funny, and I'll show you. Like this was from the other day. Yeah. Got a nice little shiner. Don't even know where it came from. It just showed up, But I embrace it. I love getting punched in the face. I think that's what makes our gym one of the best striking gyms in the state is the fact that we go so hard and we don't back down from training. Yeah, we're gonna hurt at the end of the day, or maybe not. Heck, I don't know, but we don't go in there with the mentality of, oh, I'm going to just go, 10, 20% or whatever. You fight how you train. If you train hard, you're going to fight hard, so might as well put in all the hard work so the fight could be easier.
When you're done with MMA, would you want to do bare knuckle?
I want to do bare knuckle right now. Yeah, I've been trying to convince the wife, she's the boss. She tells me no all the time. Well, after watching Zach put on that spectacular 8-second, little finish at his bare knuckle fight, my wife's like, I'll give you one shot. Let you try one time just to see. So, luckily my coach Aldo Arregio was right behind me when she said that, so I got a witness.
Okay.
So I was like, hey,
we're just waiting for the call now.
We're just waiting for the call, So there is aspirations to go higher, in my MMA career, and go LFA, fight PFL. I'm 39. I don't think the UFC is going to call, but if Dana White happens to call me, I'm not going to decline it,
Yeah.
But I'm trying to keep my goals realistic and my expectations realistic as well. So, we'll see. Bare knuckle will be kind of one of those little side quests that would be pretty dope to experience, but I only want to do it one time. So one time to see how it plays out, and then just focus on MMA.
I mean, you got a future, but right now we're focused on August 16th, Damian Gothard. What should we expect?
Don't blink, honestly. Don't blink. I want this fight to be a good fight, but I've already had my dog fight. Thank you to Igor for that. I've already had an excellent pro debut. Now I just need to start making statements. I need to start finishing. So whether it's by submission or knockout, just don't blink.
Is there a walkout song to encompass that?
No. Right now the walkout song is it's up in the air.
Okay.
Haven't made it official yet, but when I walk, we'll see.
We went country, pop-ish. We went hip hop.
Yeah, I've done rock before. I walked out to, Falling in Reverse. I've walked out to Imagine Dragons. I've walked out to Don Omar, that Bandoleros. So only thing I haven't walked out to really is opera. And I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Darian Orvan's going to be doing that against your teammate.
Yeah, we're gonna stay away from opera. Yeah,
I usually does something weird like.
I like Darian. His walkouts are entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, but I don't know. I've been floating around with probably going back to disco.
Diana Ross.
No, like Carl Douglas.
Okay.
That kung fu fighting.
Oh, okay.
So, but I'm also trying to stay in that zone, like the same zone Kendrick Lamar had me in.
Yeah.
So I've been flirting with a little Biggie.
Okay.
Some Dilated Peoples.
Ooh, hip hop.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So I was actually supposed to come out to Dilated Peoples instead of Kendrick on my last one, but TV Off just hit so hard, and I was like, yeah, we're going with that one instead.
I think it was a perfect song, especially with that stomp.
Yep.
No stomp this time though, right? We can preserve our ankles and our knees.
Yeah. especially my size, so nothing that requires a stomp, but we'll see.
August 16th, go get your tickets. They're on line right now. Go to fiercefightingchampionship.com. If you click to buy tickets, you got to look for his face. You'll see it up there. Click his face, buy the tickets through his profile. That way he gets credit so they can see who's been supporting my mans. So we got the fight. The fight's there. What's your socials? Do you want to shout out any sponsors, the people that have been supporting you?
So, yeah, we'll start with my socials. My Instagram and my YouTube channel, same handle. It's Mark Gonzalez MMA, Mark _Gonzalez _MMA, etc. Sponsors, yeah. Let me pull up. Let's see where we at.
The jerseys are really cool. Can people purchase the jerseys?
They can. So what I have right now is I have the stitched version of it's just a Team Up Athletics basketball jersey. And what's actually dope, let's see. So I'm gonna turn around. Which camera?
Right here.
That one. All right. So.
Oh, got the 801 on the back with the one hit.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of hard with this
Yeah,
on.
you're good.
So I got the 801. Got to represent. So yeah, I got comes in black also. So I got the the home and away, versions of these. All the information's on my Instagram. Like I said, Mark Gonzalez MMA. And then
this might be inappropriate, and tell me if it is because you're a military guy. But what if you did dog tags? Is that too much?
Nah, that's going a little too much. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
I don't say because I love me a good chain.
Right. No, I wouldn't even mind going, chain with the panda.
Yeah, nice pendant.
Little pendant, walking around like remember the Rockefeller chains?
Oh yeah,
back in the day. So,
damn. Hey, gyms need to do that. Hey, coaches, when your fighter goes pro and they get their first win, you need to put the chain with your logo on it. Welcome to Death Row.
So yeah, as far as my sponsors, like I mentioned earlier, first and foremost, Legacy Roofing, Josh Carrion, such a great guy. Kid to Kid of Layton and Ogden. It's actually the company my wife works for. It's her boss. She great people. They buy and sell kids clothing and whatnot.
When I became a father, we got all of our stuff from Kid to Kid.
Dude, it's so affordable. So affordable. Natty Addy and Sugar Splash. Partnered up with them.
Yeah, what's Sugar Splash, huh?
So yeah. So Sugar, I got introduced to them by my buddy who runs Natty Addy, and he was like, "Hey, these guys want to sponsor you." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Send me the details." So they sent me the details, and I'm like, "All right, bro. Like, I got you. You know."
Dominico put me onto those guys.
Yeah. So I was like, "I got you. But it's all love. Rockwell watches. Those guys, Rich and Johnny, love those guys to death, man.
Love that Rockwell. So Rockwell, before you moved to Utah, Rockwell was very heavily involved in Utah MMA, and and correct me if I'm wrong, comment section, but they most recently came back within these last like 2-3 years, and it's really dope to see the Rockwell name against Utah MMA again.
Yeah, and honestly, my introduction to Rockwell was after I won the title against Lawrence Sua, because Rockwell donated a championship watch to anybody that won a belt. So when I saw the quality of their watches and just how like dope it looked, I was like, you know what? Let me go sit down with these guys. Huge military supporters as well. So it was just one of those, partnerships that was like, it just made sense.
Yeah.
So
great sunglasses too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you got the Rockwell?
Oh yeah.
Look at him. He's Rockwell down.
Oh yeah. You got the sunglasses and the watch.
There you go.
So yeah. I love their products, man.
Yeah.
But yeah. No. Where was I? Oh yeah. Team Up Athletics. They also are sponsoring me. They make excellent fight shorts, excellent merch. Between the jerseys, they have sublimated fight shirts that I have. Located in Kaysville. So definitely hit them up, fighters, if you guys are looking for any fight shorts. And Combat Corner. Became an ambassador with them some time ago, and I've just, a huge advocate of Combat Corner and their fighting gear. So
the Hogo Zoo need to sponsor this dude. There's the panda. You got the actual fighting panda. Come on, Hogo Zoo.
Definitely. I wanted to establish myself as a professional fighter. Amateur. It's amateur at the end of the day. But as a pro fighter, once I'm well established, we're gonna reach out. We're gonna get bigger names. So we'll see.
That's awesome. Well, it all starts with where they start at and where you start at. So salute to the supporters that jump on while you're still on this uprise. You know what I mean? I tell everybody, the listeners, the the audience, like, now's the time to support these fighters. Now's the time to see them on their rise and even beyond, because as Panda said, his next thing is he wants to coach. He might coach the next world champion. You know what I mean? You never know where this whole thing could go. And so I think if you believe in something, you gotta speak up. You gotta do for them while you can. So I appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah, definitely. And one last thing I want to throw out there, you know, especially in today's culture and today's society, mental health, man. You know, MMA definitely saved my life, because after the military, I took a big turn for the worse. And MMA has definitely turned things around and gave me a different perspective on life. And if anybody out there is struggling, you know, with their mental health, show up to an MMA gym and, you know, and talk to someone, say, hey, you know, I want to come train. I want to do something different. You know, it never hurts to reach out, you know, to a buddy and say, hey, will you go to the gym with me? You know, because there's a stigma out there that, you know, that asking for help is, you know, shows weakness. You know, I couldn't disagree more. You know, so if anybody out there has any mental health issues, as far as, you know, they don't know where to go or who to look at an MMA gym. You know, come to the gym and work on yourself. And, you know, it only takes that first step to really change your life around, because it's definitely, you know, as a testimonial, it's definitely changed mine for the better.
I love it, man. We need somebody from that mental health space to sponsor you too. Yeah, I mean, like, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. I just, you know, one day at a time.
Yeah.
You know, if you know, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, brother. One more time, what's your socials?
It's Mark Gonzalez MMA. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I think my Facebook is the same. Or, you know, if you want to come train with me, you know, come hit up One Hit MMA in Layton. It's on Fairfield and Gentile. You know, come watch me train. Come train with me. You know, whatever your heart desires. You know, some people like to, you know, just get thrown into the fire. Hey, you know, let's have some fun.
That's right. You can get tickets again. His fight August 16th against Damian Gothard. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. FierceFightingChampionship.com. Go get your tickets. Fierce Fighting Championship number 42. I'm really excited for this card. This is the card of the year. Honestly, the card of 42 different events. This is a huge deal. The card is stacked. You have teammates that are going to be fighting on this thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you come out. Again, FierceFightingChampionship.com. If you want to follow me on Instagram, at DreRawka, DRERAWKA. And as you know, protect your light. Always protect your light. And have the day you deserve. We're out. Peace.